So hey guys, welcome to a new video. For those who are familiar with my other videos here on TR Light Mask, every once in a while outside of my short films, I'll post a video, usually on a yearly basis, of my Madison Comic Con experiences. So for this video, I am talking about my Madison Comic Con 2019 experience. I'm going to talk about the convention itself, my personal experience with it, things I picked up this year, some celebrity guests who appeared at the Comic Con this year, and some panels that happened, and all that kind of fun stuff. So let's get down to it. So for 2019's Madison Comic Con from Wizard World, I would say for the most part this is a pretty quiet year. One thing that kind of was competing with the event this year was Freak Fest here in Madison, Wisconsin. And Freak Fest is a pretty big deal for Halloween. It's usually like the Saturday before Halloween. I think a lot of people were choosing that event over this one. Yes, there were still people in costume. Yes, there were still cosplay people. It just felt a little quieter this year. I don't know if it was Freak Fest, if not as much people wanted to attend, if people thought that the ticket prices were raised for this year, whatever the case may be. But for me personally, it felt like a quieter year. And I guess to put in perspective for this, the event started around 10 a.m. on the Saturday portion of the Comic-Con event, and I probably didn't arrive till about 12:30 in the afternoon. And already the lines for just getting tickets or just redeeming your ticket were pretty short. There really wasn't much of a line to speak of. When you walked out onto the convention floor, it, for the most part, was pretty quiet. So like I said, for me personally, this felt like the quietest Comic-Con we've ever had for Madison. Not necessarily a bad thing. I think the most obvious reason for this is it was competing with Freak Fest. People were choosing Freak Fest over this event, and I think that kind of hurt this event a little bit. For celebrities who showed up to this event, Chris Sarandon from The Nightmare Before Christmas was one of the guest celebrities this time. I unfortunately did not attend his Q&A panel, but I'm assuming that was a lot of fun. I guess his co-star who played Oogie Boogie in the film also co-starred in the panel with him. So I'm assuming that was a fun Q&A panel. Like I said, wasn't personally there. I just know it happened to happen while the Saturday of Comic-Con was happening. Zach Galligan from Gremlins 1 and 2, Gremlins 1 and 2, was at this Comic-Con. Another celebrity I didn't get to see the Q&A for or anything, but cool to see him there, kind of cool to see kind of where he's at in 2019 and things like that. So he was another celebrity that appeared. He was from, like I said, Gremlins 1 and 2. Kevin Nash appeared for one of our guest appearances. He is a WE wrestling superstar. For those who are Ninja Turtle fans, you might recognize him as Super Shredder from Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze from the early 90s. That's kind of where I personally recognize him from. So Kevin Nash was here at our Comic-Con. He looks the same as Kevin Nash always does, I guess I could always say about that. Lou Ferrigno was once again at our Comic-Con. I think he's appeared at all but one of our Comic-Cons, so he's been to almost all the Madison ones. He played the Incredible Hulk on television, for those who remember that live-action show. So Lou Ferrigno was here, and the Hulk himself had a cameo at our celebrity portion of the Madison Comic-Con for this year. For some of the purchases I got for this year, for those who saw my intro video leading into this video on my other channel, I did pick up a fridge magnet for Sonic the Hedgehog 2. This is the cover art for the second game for the Sega Genesis. For those who are kind of counting Sonic games or are big Sonic fans, some might consider this like one of the most important Sonic games for the simple reason that it was Tails' debut. That's his sidekick right there, the little orange fox there. And this was kind of like the big seller for the Sega Genesis. It was kind of the game that was getting people to buy the Sega Genesis at the time and things like that. So kind of a cool magnet. I always loved the cover art for that game. And since it was such an important Sega Genesis game and I really feel like I need more Sonic stuff in my life, I picked up this fridge magnet. I picked up some other fridge magnets. I personally don't own them myself. I was buying them for somebody else. One of those was the Jaws poster in the form of a fridge magnet. One of them was the Marauders map from the Harry Potter film series. That was another fridge magnet I picked up. And then for my girlfriend's friend, I picked up the original Sonic the Hedgehog Sega Genesis cover in the form of a fridge magnet for her, since she is also a big Sonic fan. So that's another fridge magnet I picked up for those. For those who know me on a personal level, I like to collect pot vinyls, and for those who've seen some of my previous Comic-Con experience videos, I've talked about pop vinyls I picked up in those certain years. For this year, I picked up one that I've actually been looking for a while, and that's Colonel Sanders in the form of a pop vinyl. So that's him holding a bucket of chicken there. Looking for him for a while. I didn't find him until Comic Con recently. So since he was only $14, I picked him up. Glad to finally have Colonel Sanders in my pop vinyl collection. I'm slowly becoming a big Simpsons fan over the years. I've always been a Simpsons fan, but I think over the years I've become more and more of a Simpsons fan, especially the more older episodes I track down and things like that. And I love their Treehouse of Horror segment that they always do every Halloween. And for those who remember the episode where the Simpsons were turning into animals on like an abandoned island, it was like an island of Dr. Moreau kind of spoof, I think it was. Marge got turned into a panther in that episode. I thought that was one of the funnier parts of that episode, and she actually got her own pop vinyl for that moment. Kind of cool to track this down. It was Halloween time. Don't really have a lot of Simpsons pop vinyls to begin with, so since I didn't have her yet, don't really have any Simpsons pop vinyls yet, I thought this would be a nice cool start to that, and since it is Halloween time and I like Treehouse of Horror, I thought this was a nice way to start that off. Outside of pop vinyls, I'm going to get to more pop vinyls here in a second. There was a DVD vendor there. He was selling like rare TV shows in the form of DVDs and Blu-rays. I found the whole Pac-Man animated series in the form of a complete series set on DVD. It's apparently a 2-disc set, which apparently has all the episodes from the animated series on there. Can't wait to sit down and watch all this. I remember this pretty good from my childhood whenever it showed up on Cartoon Network, and they had that Christmas special that I was always watched on there. So cool to finally track this down on DVD. Another pop vinyl I picked up, going back to the pop vinyls, I found the Kool-Aid guy in the form of a pop vinyl. Been looking for him for a while. I found a pretty good deal on him a while ago. I didn't take advantage of it, unfortunately. So since I didn't have him yet, and I've been looking for him, I finally picked up the Kool-Aid guy for myself in the form of a pop vinyl. This is a pop vinyl I almost got last year. Went with Cortex instead, who is also from this game series. Didn't pick up Crash Bandicoot himself yet, so I figured for this year I was for sure going to pick up Crash if he was at a good price. Thankfully he was. So I have Crash Bandicoot himself in the form of a pop vinyl. Like I said, almost got him last year. Got Cortex instead. Ended up buying other things instead also last year. So got him this year instead, and I'm glad to add him to my collection. I've been a big Home Alone fan my whole life, so it'd only be appropriate to finally pick up a Kevin McAllister Home Alone pop vinyl. This is him in his winter outfit from the first film. I know there's one like shown on the back here where he has like an iron and a gun, and then obviously they have Harry and Marv in the form of pop vinyls too. Huge Home Alone fan. It's probably my favorite film from 1990, with Home Alone 2 probably being one of my favorite films of 1992 as well. So huge John Hughes fan as well, huge Chris Columbus fan. It was only appropriate for me to finally get my own Kevin McAllister Home Alone pop vinyl. For things I don't have physically here with me in the video, but just to kind of give you an example and an explanation of them, my girlfriend is a big fan of Pusheen cats. We found a Pusheen cat pop vinyl for her at the event. I already gave her the mermaid one for those who are familiar with the other Pusheen pop vinyls, but she didn't have the regular one yet. So for those who don't know what a Pusheen cat is, I happen to have something here in my house that is a Pusheen cat. So that's the Pusheen cat right there. I got it in the form of a pop vinyl for her, so that's the Pusheen cat. Another thing I picked up that I bought, but it was not for me, was the two of the BTS band members that my girlfriend likes. We got 2 pop vinyls for her of those 2 band members. One of them's name was Suga, and I forgot the name of the other one, but we got those for her. We also got 2 versions of Wednesday Addams from the Addams Family, both the one from this new movie that came out recently and the one from the 50s TV show that was in black and white. So we got those for her. And then I think that's kind of it for as far as purchases go, or at least the bigger purchases go. Back to the convention itself, tons of great merchandise. Tons of great choices. So even if you don't like pop vinyls, there was action figures, there was Halloween cookies, there was Halloween candy exclusive to Comic Con, Comic Con themed candy, there was mystery boxes that they do every year, there was independent artists, there was one that I was going to mention here a second ago. One thing we did buy was an independent artist, once again, My girlfriend likes Pusheen cats. He was able to draw a personalized sketch of a Pusheen cat in the form of Black Widow, the character from the Marvel Comics. He gave us a Pusheen dressed as Black Widow outfit, so that was pretty cool for him to do that for us. So that was another thing that we did end up buying, was the Pusheen cat in the form of Black Widow in the form of a sketch from an independent artist. So like I said, tons of great merchandise, tons of Halloween stuff. You can get photo ops with horror characters this time around, since that was the big Halloween theme this year. Last year there was more like things you could buy for Christmas for people who are looking for certain things. So this year they went with more of the Halloween theme with the kind of the time of year that the event took place. So kind of a cool way to tie in the time of year with the merchandise that they offered for this year. One event panel that I attended, unfortunately, instead of the Q&As, kind of wish I did some of the Q&As just because I would have been interested in seeing what Zach Galligan and Chris Sarandon and all of them could have done for their Q&A. But one panel I did attend that was a lot of fun was the bad movies panel, the movies that are so bad that they're good. Tons of fun at that panel. I learned about films that I didn't even know existed. I now have bad films to watch like Tiptoes, and I think Sextete was the other one of some bad 70s movie. Plan 9 from Outer Space I've seen a lot of footage of, but never the whole thing. So after seeing kind of more footage of that at the panel, I definitely should totally track that down. That totally looks like my cup of tea when it comes to bad movies or movies that are so bad they're good. So tons of fun at the panel. The person who hosted that did a lot of fun and did a really good job hosting that panel, I thought, as well. So fun bad movies panel. It was a ton of fun for that. So overall, guys, I really like this panel a lot. I had a lot of fun at this year's Comic Con. Like you saw here a second ago, tons of fun things that I picked up. Kind of a cool little Halloween theme this year. It's kind of too bad that it did kind of compete with Freak Fest and kind of hurt the amount of audience that they could have had for this Comic Con. But overall, I had a lot of fun at it. Hopefully, some of you who live in the Madison area or live close enough to it also attended this Comic Con event. And hopefully next year we'll get an even bigger Comic Con, have a lot of fun again at that 2020 Comic Con. And I will see you guys hopefully next year for another Comic Con video.